Good evening,
Hi.
everybody. How is everybody in the Tinternet? Oh, it's got all quiet because we've got no viewers. We'll wait and see if anybody wants to come in and join the club. We have got
Just hear the crickets.
We've got two already, so we're doing all right. We're doing all right so far. Good evening,
Hey.
Beth. Oh, we're going up in numbers. Anyway, welcome to tonight's episode of the Dark Mirror Radio Show. We need some spooky sort of music. Tonight, myself and Josh, because Mark is still taking some time off, but he will be back with us next week. So you haven't got to wait too much longer. But tonight, we're going to talk about latest events on Earth's own satellite, the Moon, as it would appear that on Sunday, not Sunday gone, but Sunday before, China landed their second uncrewed probe, supposedly uncrewed probe, onto the dark side of the Moon. And so far, China just so happens to be the only country that has put anything on the dark side of the Moon. It's the second time now that they've landed on the dark side. They're claiming that it's an unmanned probe. How much of that is right or not, we will have to wait and see. But apparently, it touched down on Sunday on the far side, and which started its second mission, which they are claiming is for exploration, where they will be taking soil samples, etc. However, there has been things found, including in the South Pole. Apparently, they had found ice on the Moon in amongst a crater, the Shackleton crater, which formed when a comet hit the Moon's South Pole. That was about 3.6 billion years ago, they claim. So they said they have found water, but there's also supposedly in the Aitken Basin, which is one of the largest preserved craters in the solar system. They have found a structure, and they claim it's weighs about 2.18 billion kilograms and measures more than 300 kilometers in depth and about 2,000 kilometers in length. So it is starting to kick off a lot of rumors and possibly some conspiracy theories there. What do you reckon, Josh?
So no Moon nights yet, huh?
Well, this is the question, isn't it? You know, they're claiming that it's an uncrewed probe. So just like the space agent, American Space Agency, NASA, putting probes up onto the Moon and claiming that they're taking soil samples, how do we know that they're not actually sending crewed missions up there?
We don't
don't
put anything past them.
Because obviously the likes of China, they are still fairly secretive, and they're only likely to make public things that they want to make public.
Oh, so, most definitely.
I mean, we have heard about the extra missions that Apollo made, supposedly, which again is another well done. The extra missions after Apollo 17 that claimed that NASA actually did go to the dark side of the Moon, and they found things there that stopped them from going any further. And now, obviously, the Chinese have done two missions there. Evening, Charles.
Yeah.
It's a case of, you know, are they going there to confirm what the extra Apollo missions found?
Probably, honestly. At this point,
I mean, the thing is the question is, what are China doing on the far side of the moon in the first place? Because we know the moon doesn't rotate that fast. I think it moves something like a fraction of a centimetre per year, depending on its orbit. Because I think I'd read somewhere that it moves so far in one direction, and then because the difference between the hemispheres, it makes it rotate back. That's why we always see the same sort of the man and the moon face all the time, because it only goes so far and then it slowly starts going back the other way. So
I saw some of the footage of it just smashing down. I don't know. Could be real. Could be a GoPro on a baseball.
But it could be. I mean, like we say, China are very secretive about what they do. They will keep things quiet, and they will only tell us what we want to know, or what they think we want to know. If the Apollo missions, or the extra Apollo missions that supposedly happened but may not have happened, if they did take place, and the videos that have kicked off the conspiracy theories about it are real, the Chinese would admit it and they'd prove it. And then what are they going to do? Are they likely to turn around and say, well, the Americans have been lying to you all this time? They did land, and here's the proof. What else do they think they're going to find? We know the dark side of the moon is going to be colder than the light side. So it would stand to reason the chances are we might find ice there.
If we found it first, we took everything that's worth value.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. But there will still be evidence, wouldn't there, that obviously if anybody else has been there apart from them, there would be evidence of that. Well, there should be.
We did bomb something on the moon. What was that whole thing with the ringing and?
Yes, claiming
what
that
are we getting rid of?
which sort of rang. I like that. Which sort of brought out the conspiracy theory that the moon, being a satellite, was literally a satellite. It was hollow inside. And then the questions then arise of what is inside the moon if it's hollow. Are they jumping on the same theory that we have a hollow Earth? And it wasn't that long ago, I saw a TikTok where someone was saying that if the Earth has a molten core, so it's really hot. Good evening, Sarah. You know, if the center of the Earth is a molten core with an iron center, why is it that the further down in the ocean you go, the colder it gets? You'd have thought the closer to the center of the Earth you'd be getting, the hotter the water. But evening, Jamie, I was going to interject and say, well, you've got something called pressure. Pressure would play a part of that, and ocean current. So you would then quite possibly be looking at that being the reason why it's so cold under all that pressure, lack of sunlight.
Well, we know that there's a second ocean underneath now as well. So, I mean, that kind of changes that too.
So there's got to be another layer there, which is that ocean that's underneath the Earth's surface is quite possibly a lot warmer than the surface one. So, you know, it's a case of, well, you could ask another question of, if the higher up you get, the closer to the sun you get. So why do mountains have snow on top? You're closer to the sun, surely that would melt. Bear with me a second. Excuse me, guys. Oh, my kids, I love them so much. So I think it depends with the pressure, lack of sunlight and wave currents. Could it make it colder? I know, obviously, yeah, normally pressure, when you push it in, it would normally get warmer because it's agitating the molecules like a microwave does. But I don't know. It just seems a bit weird. But we digress because we're supposed to be talking about China landing on the moon.
Right.
But the thing is, what I don't understand is, why is it such a big deal that China's landed on the moon?
Well, ask Stanley Kubrick that.
You know, I mean, obviously, there's the NASA missions to the moon, but why is it so strange and bizarre and big news that China have landed on the moon? You know, there is no license. There is no license for only one nation to travel to the moon. Welcome to the show, Freddie. How are you?
Hi, bud.
We have a special guest star tonight with us. It's Freddie Seaton. So what do you think about the Chinese landing on the moon? Like that. We got a showman in the making. Anyway, you going to answer?
Shower in the making.
Showman in the making?
The shower.
A shower? We got a shower in the making, apparently. Well, I said a showman. So what do you think of the Chinese landing on the moon? Oh. That's Freddie's opinion on it. It wouldn't be surprising if they do. I mean, you look at China being the biggest producer of electronics along with the Japanese. Why wouldn't they? Hey, no breaking wind on live, please. It's rude. No, Freddie don't like the idea. You're going to go up to bed now. Go sit on the sofa, please. Go on, good boy. Don't forget your dum-dum. Mister, you forgot your dum-dum.
Give me 1 second to keep doing that.
So, yeah.
Get up.
You got Chang 6, I think it's called, spacecraft landed on the far side of the moon. Bizarre footage, but yes, it does look as if it just plopped on there. The uncrewed spacecraft landed on the far side of the moon has been broadcast by Chinese media. So the Chinese actually made a big song and dance about it. Landed in the Aiken Basin on the space facing side.
Have them on my shot, actually.
At 6:23 a.m. The mission is aimed to retrieve the world's first rock and soil samples from the far side of the moon, which could provide insights into differences between the less explored region and the better known near side. Oh, but listen to this. This is really, this is news breaking stuff. This is really breaking stuff. Using a scoop and a drill, the Chang 6's lander will aim to collect 2 kilograms of lunar material over 2 days and bring it back to Earth. That's breaking news, that is. That's never been done before, apparently.
Daddy?
Yes.
I'm going to eat my food on the moon.
You want to eat your food on the moon? You've got to get to the moon first.
Yeah, catch them. Yeah,
apparently missions to this region are more difficult because it doesn't face the Earth, requiring a relay satellite to maintain communications. So they've had to have let go a satellite
Daddy?
around that area to allow the signal to get around the moon to get back to Earth.
Daddy? I'm going to catch flies. There's flies in space.
Go on then. Off you go. First rocket. Off you go.
I'm going to catch flies.
Go for it. I'm not getting anything else.
Did he say he was going to catch double agents?
No, he said he was going to catch flies in space.
Oh.
Which, yeah, I'm struggling to understand how that works because he needs to get into space first. I had this conversation with him the other day. He said he wanted to be an astronaut. So I said to him, well, you're only 4 years old at the moment, so you need to get all the best exam results you could possibly get. You need to be as fit as anything so that you can cope with blasting off into space. And then you might be able to become an astronaut. And he went, how long will that take? I went, about 20 years. Didn't like that answer. Well, again, Charles, that's the theory, or the conspiracy theory, is that there is something already there. As I said when the show started, that there is the theory that NASA did send 3 more Apollo missions up to the moon after the Apollo missions ended.
There's that video of Armstrong saying that when they went to the moon, that they were greeted by types of soldiers in armor, and were told to get off the moon immediately.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever saw that.
And that was the reason why they didn't go back. And I wonder whether there was a deal brokered between those that were already on the moon and us as a sort of like a treaty. You know, we won't say nothing, blah blah blah. Just give us all this.
I believe part of it too was that they were showing the corpses of the cosmonauts, and were like, we can go this route or you can go home.
Yeah. Yeah. If the world lost gravity, would all the water in the seas float off into space? Everything would. Anything that's not bolted down would float off into space. Because without gravity, the Earth would keep. The theory is that there's nothing to hold everything down. That's why the apple fell out the tree and hit Isaac Newton on the head, because of gravity. Without gravity, that apple would fall off the tree. It would just float there and then just disappear off into space. But for there to be no gravity, you would have to lose. They would have to lose rotation of the Earth's core.
Dad,
and that's what makes the
this
Earth
bottle was
spin.
open.
Yeah, but that bottle is staying over there, okay? Because you had your hot chocolate. You had your hot chocolate. See, it's all gone.
Yeah.
See, all gone.
So
you would then lose gravity and everything would just go wee.
Up in space.
Go on, Josh, I'll let you answer that one.
Just like the question, why are all the statement, why are all maps flat? I can't comment on that because I'm not supposed to hurt people's feelings on this show.
Well, we're supposed to be impartial, sort of.
It's just my old bottle.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is the flat Earth belief, or the flat Earth theory, is that we're in a domed disc, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then we've got the firmament, which is the dome itself. And that's why you see so many videos of SpaceX's rocket hitting the firmament when all it is a booster separation and reignition of the next stage of the rocket. And they're going, oh, it's hit the firmament. That theory.
Why does every mountain climbing video show it like on the top of the mountain? It's like it's round.
Yeah.
Is that the dome? Is that the dome that we're seeing then? Would that be their argument?
I find it hilarious because when you see, like you say, people that go up to the top of mountains, and then the NASA videos of the space station, even when it's cosmonauts that are on the space station, they're taking footage, and a lot of people go, good use of the fisheye lens. Fisheye lens will automatically create that curvature, especially if the camera's pointing in the right position. But it, yeah, I don't think it really holds any weight, to be honest. I don't believe in the flat Earth theory. I think, how does gravity work if it's a flat Earth?
I mean, it is interesting that we used to believe it as a society, and then we switched. And before we switched, that the church was executing people for saying the Earth was round.
Dad,
You got up there. Little monkey's climbed up on the sink. Right. Come here.
So, Wayne, what's your favorite sci-fi?
What is my favourite sci-fi?
muscles. It's too heavy strong.
I love sci-fi, and I love all sorts of sci-fi films. But I'm sort of, I mean, I've always loved Star Wars.
Me too. Way better than Star Trek. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. It's just a fact.
I never used to like Star Trek, but then along came Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I got into Star Trek a bit more then. But I found that when they started doing spin-offs like Deep Space Nine and all that lot, I thought, yeah, I don't know. And then along came all the new movies. Now, I prefer the new movies compared to the older ones, but I still do like the older ones. But it's so difficult because I like ones like Independence Day, District 9. I couldn't get my head round. I love Aliens and I love Stargate SG-1 and Atlantis. I've just finished watching all of the Stargate Atlantis, and I did quite enjoy that. It took me ages to figure out that Aquaman was in it. That figures, doesn't it? I thought to myself, I recognise this guy, I recognise him, and then I looked at the end credits. I'm like, yeah, it's Aquaman. Got me own little alien. What's she on about?
Alien.
Wait.
Because
Our own resident
because you didn't know that Jason Momoa was in Stargate Atlantis. I'm sitting here chuckling.
No, I don't really follow him. So when I saw the guy on there, I thought I recognised that face, but where do I recognise it from? But it was obviously the last time I saw the original Aquaman was years ago. So I didn't realise that he was in Stargate Atlantis until I checked the end credits. But I suppose that was practically his first acting job. I don't know. But I do like the older 80s sci-fis like V.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my favourite. That I've never heard of that one. V was my favourite growing up.
V.
You ever heard of Screamers?
V.
I have heard of it. Don't think I've ever seen it though.
It was like a sci-fi, like robots.
V.
That one always bugged me. I was like his age when it came out. Back then too, my mom would just let anything play. He won't mind. He's got some trucks.
Mustard.
Mustard?
I can't get up with my voice.
Liam Neeson.
I can't get up with my royal feet.
Yeah. They ruined it when the new V came, when the new series of V came out. They ruined it. just wasn't the same.
I can't get my drink.
But hard to pick on a favourite. District 9, I just couldn't get my head round, and now they're saying they're doing a District 10.
Like I said, if that actually happened in real life, not the movie happening, but like that sort of situation, we're gonna lose all of our best sci-fi films.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising. I've just had a message from Ellen saying I've just missed the trail. She's doing part of her walk that we're doing for charity for pancreatic cancer research. And apparently she's missed a turn off on her walk. So it looks like she's going to be doing extra mileage. I already did mine earlier on today. I did 3 miles. She's going to do a little bit extra. Anyway, so what are your favourite films then, Josh?
Gotta say, I like the Mad Max ones. We class them as sci-fi.
Yeah, I would have said so. Set in the future, isn't it? Are you talking about the originals or the newer ones?
Both.
I think
I haven't seen the newest one yet. Have you?
No, I have been tempted. Here he is, there. All right, Mark. Hope you're doing all right.
Yep.
I did like the Mel Gibson ones, but it sort of, there were too many questions. You know, and it took too long to sort of get the answers. And I think that's a typical thing. It's like with Dune. You know, with the original Dune, it was short and sweet. You got the basic gist of what was going on, but then the new ones come along, and that sort of went into a bit better detail. And I read the books of Dune.
I don't know. I haven't been able to make it through Doom. It's one of them movies.
Sort of film you could go to sleep by.
Right? It just goes on and my eyelids get heavier and heavier.
Oh, I'll try to, Noreen. I can't reach, but thank you. So it's been a good one. We set a target of 2 miles per day, but I'm trying to do 4. So it is a well worth cause. So if anybody wants to help and donate to the charity, if you look on my timeline, I should have the link on there to donate directly to the cause. I think it's something like £235 enables them to man a telephone line for the research centre. So obviously everything helps. But no, I know June's a bit long-winded. I think it's a bit too long-winded. And I think they're now on to the children of Dune. So, 2 weeks now.
What?
I think we might be able to think of something for next week.
All right.
But
on a different note, I have surgery next week, so I might be a little bit out of it. No.
You'll be out of it?
I might be a little bit out of it. Yeah, the whole back thing's getting cut. Yeah.
We could try some experimentation.
No, I'm good.
While you're out of it, we could try an MK Ultra type experiment and see if you can remote view. I don't know. It might work.
That's your next book.
Sorry?
That's your next book.
Could have you as the lead character. Josh comes out of surgery and starts seeing things that aren't really there. That's like the videos where people that go to the dentist to have their wisdom teeth taken out, and someone conveniently videos them as they've woken up, and they're completely off their trolley. and they say all manner of things. I think it's hilarious. Yeah. I think it's very similar with what Noreen says. It's like the Star Wars films. You know, Star Wars originally was written as one big film. And then George Lucas is like, I think I need to cut this down a little bit. Turned it into the 3. And then all the fans started asking questions. Well, how did Darth Vader become Darth Vader? If he was supposed to be friends with Obi-Wan Kenobi, how did he end up on the dark side? So, of course, George Lucas had to do all the prequels. Yeah, I think the only one out of the Star Wars ones that sort of never really went anywhere was Battle for Endor, the Ewok adventure. I only ever saw that once. I'm like, no, I ain't watching that again. Oh, speaking of Ewoks, yes. No problem, Mark. We'll sort something out. But yeah, I mean, Star Wars for me is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Sci-fi. I don't think I could come out with anything different, to be honest. Unless you go down the roads of the likes of Independence Day, and then Independence Day 2, which was the biggest pile of poo going. That was just way over the top.
She's like that with sequels.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was all right. I loved the first one. Thought it was brilliant. Went to the cinema to watch it on my birthday because it was released the same day over here. And I thought it was brilliant. And then I watched the second one and I'm like, seriously, all the hype that there was for it. And it was just pants. I can't remember what it was called. It was Independence Day Resurgence. And that was when they went after the big mothership. Or they took the fight to them, I think it was. No, it wasn't. They were going to take the fight to them, but the big head honcho alien come to Earth and it had this massive ship that literally had big pincers and went onto the Earth. Weird. But Love and Monsters wasn't bad. So I agree with Mark on that. Was all right. But that wasn't, I don't think you could class that as a real sort of serious sci-fi. What's other people's favourite sci-fi movie? Want to stick them in the... Oh, the Dome. Under the Dome. Is that the one you're on about, Noreen? If you're talking about Under the Dome, the Stephen King one, the beginning of that was hilarious. Because I remember when the dome comes down, it chops a cow in half lengthways. It chops it right down the middle lengthways. And one half of the cow flops to the ground. And the other half of the cow is on the other side of the dome. And it's just literally clear. And all you can see is the insides of the cow. It's pretty cool. It just drops down and just leaves all the insides of the cow sitting there. Yeah, Fifth Element was good, and that was nice to see Lee Evans in that. That was pretty smart. So, evening, Rita. Hope Eric's doing all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, Under the Dome's quite good. I mean, that's Steve. Although obviously Stephen King as a science fiction writer, I'm not sure. I prefer him sticking with horror and not going into the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, that show was good.
However, I did like The Running Man, which is written by Stephen King.
I think that was one of them bad areas, though, where he was, you know what I mean? Kind of like Cujo.
Yeah, I couldn't get on with Cujo. It very
No,
long.
I meant I think that was because I know under that false name he was it was the '80s and he was like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
getting at? He was fucked out of his mind.
I think a lot of it as well is that because he's writing a different genre, so the Running Man being science fiction, and he's known for horror. It was like, oh, do I write a science fiction under my current name? Evening, Colette. And so I can understand like the Regulators and the Running Man becoming Richard under the name of Richard Bachman, because it was the only way really that he would be able to keep the two separate. But then you got books like Dreamcatcher, which is a sci-fi
Oh,
about alien invasion.
he didn't. He wrote under that name wasn't so he could keep things separate. He did
Yeah,
that because we had a stupid tax clause back in the '80s where you can only produce so many books a year.
yeah, and get around it by writing under a different
Yeah,
name.
it's not like, well, I'm a different guy.
Yeah,
Well, like I was saying, like I know like when Hiro Kujo was doing his party stages, and if you talk to him about that, he's like, I don't even remember the process or even writing the book.
yeah. I mean, that took me years to realise Running Man was written by Stephen King,
Yeah, we were talking about that one week.
and I'm like, oh, the
I
series set on an island that was Lost, wasn't it?
I do love the Dark Tower series though, and I'd classify that as sci-fi. Not the movie, the books.
Yeah, because that's all about portals, isn't it? And jumping to and from the future and
Yeah,
so
getting
I would
lost.
agree with you on that. That's sci-fi, but why was it just one film? When you look at it, how many was it? 7 books, isn't there?
There was a lot of problems with that film. I mean,
I think it's something like 7 or 8 books, and yet there's only one film, and they managed to condense all of those books into one film.
I don't get how you can't have the cast look anything like the book when there's literally like drawings in the book that he did, and it's like, what?
Yeah, yeah. Lost was another series that I started to watch and then lost interest with it, and then I sort of then went back to it to sort of try and, because obviously it was being shown over here. I think I watched the first 2 series and then I had this massive gap, and then I started watching it again, and I thought, hang on a minute, I've missed so much. I don't know who's who's doing what goes where did this polar bear come from? So I started watching it again, and I've done exactly the same thing as I did the first time round. I've lost track of where I was, so I've got to start all again from scratch.
Red Dwarf, best
Sorry?
sci-fi. Red Dwarf.
Oh yeah, they're doing another 3 episodes. They're doing 3 new ones, so that'll be good.
They're all still alive, right?
Yes, yeah, they're all still alive. Craig Charles is he does a lot of DJing and radio presenting now, and that's, I can't remember which one's which. Lister or Rimmer. Lister, Mr. Lister. So Lister's the hologram, and then Craig Charles plays the other one, Rimmer. No, Rimmer, Lister. Oh, I don't know, one of the 2. But they're all still alive. They're getting ready to film the next 3 episodes. I think that's due to popular demand. My favourite one was Polymorph, with the alien that kept changing shape and it turned into his shorts. And old Crichton comes in to try and remove the shorts, and then Chris Barry comes walking in and catches him, and it looks like he's having it off with Craig Charles. And then it turns into a sausage or something stupid. So, but yeah, I think that was a good comedy series. I never got into Lost in Space because I still remember the original one.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that I'm that old, but I still remember the original.
I know you're old.
I haven't been able to get around. I haven't been able to get around to watching. I think I watched about 2 or 3 episodes of the newer one, and I didn't watch anymore. So it lost momentum with me pretty quickly. But I think my favourite one still from the 80s was always V, until they ruined it. I've got the DVDs here somewhere. But even that finished weirdly. The old Star Child gets on the Emperor's shuttle and disappears. The fake one blows up and then that's it. And you're like, oh, so what happened next? Did all the aliens leave? Or did they stay here and clear our rat problem? I don't know.
Right.
Have we got anybody else's favourites in the chat room?
Any questions, comments regarding anything?
Or any questions? Anybody want to give us any questions? Yeah, Lister. Lister is Craig Charles Rimmer. What's the other dude? Yeah, I can't remember. I know obviously Crichton and Cat, Danny John Jules.
I can picture the Indian dude, the one like the redhead, the cat, and then there's the cyborg dude with like
Right.
square face.
Yeah, Arnold Rimmer, played by Chris Barry. He's the hologram. Dave Lister is played by Craig Charles. And then you've got Crichton, is Robert Llewellyn. Holly was Norman Lovett until they changed it. And then you've got Cat, which is Danny John Jules. But apparently we've got a new Lister as well, which is John Sharian.
Didn't somebody get in trouble until too? No, I like it stopped for a while.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Look at that, see? I'm spot on as I was, Sarah. Look. But yeah, Red Dwarf is returning to television with a new three episode special. Filming will start in October and will air next year. It last aired on Dave channel in 2020, but rumours about a revival have been circulating for months. Red Dwarf is returning for a new special next year after half a decade away from the television screens. Filming on the feature-length instalment, which are set to be spread over 3 30-minute episodes, begins in October with Craig Charles, Chris Barry, Danny John Jules and Robert Llewellyn all returning to the sci-fi comedy, which aired on Dave in 2020. However, the title, plot and details of the channel for the new episodes will broadcast on have not yet been confirmed. So, Flight of the Navigator, classic. You're not having any more drink. You've already had a pint. Ease off. You'll get drunk.
I see how dirty it is.
It's not, there's only that much left. Drink that one. You're not having any more. You should have been in bed like 2 hours ago. See ya. Auf Wiedersehen.
Now I don't want to be in bed.
Yeah, well. Yeah. I think, yeah, and like you said earlier on, Josh, you know, if disclosure does come out and aliens do come and make peaceful contact and then end up living among us and they're accepted into society, will all science fiction films get banned? I hate Robert Carlyle doing Stargate franchise. Did he? Was he in Stargate? Well, I think it's someone else.
Well, MacGyver was like the main guy.
Oh, my Facebook just crashed. Oh, right. Do you know what? The only thing I liked him in was 28 days later he was in. Sure it was. And then in the end, Stargate Command. That'll probably be the reason why I hadn't heard of that one. He did Stargate Command. I haven't watched it. So that'll answer that one. I did wonder the reason why. Now I know. But yeah, 28 weeks later was good. They did 28 days later. Then 28 weeks later, they're now going to do a 28 years later. Which stood to reason, I think. If they're going to do another sequel, they might as well call it 28 years later. Keep up with the pattern.
Right.
Because obviously at the end of 28 weeks later, they ended up in France, didn't they? And the very end scene was the coming out of the metro in front of the Eiffel Tower, and they were all running like the zombies did. So obviously it goes on there where it's spread worldwide. So we're ending up into the Walking Dead territory now, aren't we? So you're going to end up watching 28 years later, and it'll be like, okay, we've actually walked into 28 years later, The Walking Dead.
Does that end yet?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I stopped watching it after the sheriff got killed.
Oh, that's way before that.
And then I started watching. I started watching Fear the Walking Dead, and then I stopped watching that as well. So I think the problem is when they release so many series, there's so many seasons of something that you start getting tired of watching it because it sort of goes over the same old thing again.
Right. I was over it when they were stuck on the farm. I was like, so you have this big budget where you got actual Sherman tanks and stuff just lying around, but now we're just living on the farm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is correct.
There's a new It series coming out soon. I don't know if you
Right.
saw that.
Another It. That wouldn't be surprising, to be honest.
No, it's been announced. It's actually it might just be a TV thing, but it's the same people, and it's
I know there was supposed to be a series about Pennywise.
it's actually called something that it's like called The History of Gary, I believe.
Yeah, and I'm sure Pennywise the clown comes into it on that.
Yeah, well, Skygar is already that he'd be playing again.
Right.
Who did you like, him or the original, Tim Curry?
To be honest, I found the new one creepier. Tim Curry was good as Pennywise, but I think the new guy. I think it's probably down to the technology. I think the new guy was able to portray Pennywise in a much darker way than Tim Curry could. Although I enjoyed Tim Curry's acting as it, the new guy was, I think, that just beating him a little bit. Terrifier was pants. I laughed all the way through that films. To me, it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing special. He was just someone dressed up as a clown killing people. Or should I say unaliving? I don't know. But I don't know. I think to date, so far, the worst horror movie, or it's labelled as a horror, the worst horror I have watched has got to be Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
You mean just terrible film?
Yeah, that I lost 92 minutes of my life because of that film.
There's a sequel.
No. And there was rumour that because the rights to Mickey Mouse has now gone up for grabs, someone was going to do a version of Steamboat Willie.
Yeah,
the original Mickey Mouse cartoon. And I'm like, I wonder if they'd get away with that. It's a strange one. In answer to Sarah's thing, she said about 28 days later. The original 28 Days Later was done in 2002, which I thought was a bit late. I thought it was earlier than that, but it came out on the 1st of November 2002. So if 28 years later is going to be 28 years from the original, we've still got another few years to go yet. Because obviously,
yeah,
that would make it 2030. Yeah, I would make it. I get my brain thinking then. 2025, it's due out. So, yeah. Jeepers Creepers was quite good. I did like Jeepers Creepers. Again, with that though, when you get to the sequels, it starts getting predictable. And you sit there and go, yeah, I can see what's going to come on here. He's obviously collecting people's skins for a reason. Oh dear. Have you got a favourite horror, Josh?
There's so many.
I find that a problem if you watch too many of one particular type of film. You end up sort of liking certain stories of it. It's like the Omen films.
Nah, I think it's also the period I grew up in, man. I was a kid during like the 90s, so I mean, horror movies just get worse and worse every year, I feel like. We have nothing like the original Hellraisers.
Watch the new Omen film. The new Omen is pretty good. It's a prequel to the original.
Yeah. You were telling me about that.
I
Somebody gave me out till the ending.
I thought it was really good, and it does sort of give you an explanation on how someone in power would try and do whatever they could to keep that power. That's all I'll say. But it's definitely well worth a watch because it sort of runs very similar in style to the original Omen films.
I also wanted to check out Godzilla -1. I heard it's way different than the first ones. It's not
Godzilla.
It's like
Godzilla what?
the new one, -1.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
It's the newest one that just came out. And it's actually instead of a giant lizard that's just, kind of just stomping through town accidentally, he's like pissed off and hates humanity and it's like, yep, he's gonna die.
So it's a bit like the original Japanese Godzillas then.
It's all subtitled. It's came out in Japan last year.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's apparently worse. Like it's actually kind of terrifying. I've heard a lot of reviews.
That reminds me of a TikTok I saw yesterday. Someone said there was something coming down, I think it was in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and it clearly looked like a crocodile's head. And the comments that were in there were unbelievable. I mean, you could clearly see that something wasn't right and it had been adjusted in some way. But yes, there was this sort of rock formation, and this person had claimed on Google Earth that it was like a form of Godzilla or a crocodile was coming up out of the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And I'm like, seriously? And yet you're the only person that's able to let everybody know that there's this huge mass coming up out of the ocean, including the people on the island that's right next door to where this is coming out. Nobody has said anything on social media, on the news or anything. Because something that size, there would have been an earthquake. And you're like, yeah, okay.
We say that now, but watch, there'll be a big kaiju attack tomorrow.
Yeah. And there was another one as well. They were saying about the strange anomaly that showed up from the Atlantic Ocean. And the wave that was generated by this was 80 foot high. And yet everybody in South Africa and the west coast of Africa never reported any tidal wave. So how does that work?
There's a lot of people worked up about it.
It's a bit of a strange one.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Well
Yeah,
seen.
That's Lois's
show.
That's Lois's fault.
Yes.
Last week she forgot to share it out to people, and this week she's using wrong technology.
Right?
Hey, Rita. It's not. I object to that. I'm useless. Well, I'm actually useless, and I'm expecting.
So it's just sabotage, man.
I'm expecting Mark to come back and be like, rah, 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 at me.
We'll leave that for 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
I'll be on in 2 weeks' time going, hello, Mark. But yeah, next Monday's absolutely fine. I'm free again.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, as it's time for us to wrap up tonight because Josh has got to go off. Is it a soccer game or soccer practice?
Game.
Oh, it's a game.
Oh, apparently it's not me. The only one not echoing is low.
Well, no, because it's only when your microphone is on that we get
Yeah.
the echo. So it's
Don't
got to be
pick on
your
me.
technology, nobody else's.
Don't pick on me because I'm a girl.
Anyway, good luck to your son on his first game.
Good luck.
Thanks, I don't know.
What's the team's name?
It goes by what company pays to have the shirts made, so they kind of get them like right before the game.
So it's
Well,
a
anyway.
surprise.
Go Josh's boys too. Good.
Yay!
We want to
Nice
hear
to
that
see
they've won.
Louise.
Will do.
Okay. So anyway, we're going to go so Josh can get off to his lads' football game, and we will see you all next week because we're nice. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.